Eddie Hearn, big
How are you,
news.
mate?
Good, mate. Good, good, good. Big news. Matchroom Boxing and Foxtel here in Australia. What does this mean for Australian boxing?
Well, it's huge for Australian boxing and us as well. I mean, part of our big 5 year extension with the zone on a global level with over 30 shows a year. But for Australian boxing, we've got it. We've got now the big deal, 7 shows a year in Australia, which is kind of what we've been leading up to. It's taken a little bit of time, but massive news for Australian fight fans, massive news for our fighters as well, us as a company, and can't wait to get started. In the past, we've had to kind of build our Australian stars overseas. Now we can do both. We've got the ability to stage shows in Australia. And now over the next week or two, we can finally start adding many more fighters to the roster that we've been kind of waiting on this opportunity for. So, yeah, it's a big announcements coming. And our first show will be in April. And looking forward to that, building the card now. And I think you guys are going to be really pleased with what you see.
Um, Possibly the main promoter down here, No Limit Boxing and the Rose Boys. You've been going back and forth with Dana White these past couple of days. Can you see yourself going back and forth with Matt and George Rose? What does that
Well,
dynamic look like?
I hope not. I mean, I don't know George that well. Matt, me and Matt, we've been a bit like that over the years, but I like the guys, and I think they do a brilliant job. Like when I look at the No Limit promotionally, I don't really have any anything bad to say about them. I think they're a very professional team. I think the look and the feel of their events is first class. So at the moment, there's no beef. So we'll see what happens because we've got Paro against Crocker coming up. I'm sure there'll be a little bit of beef there, but we both want to win. I would like to see a world where we actually work together. I mean, we're on the same platform. So, why can't we do fights between stables? Why can't we do a 5v5? There's gonna be rivalry, no doubt. Like No Limit will want to do the best shows in Australia. Matchroom will want to do the best shows in Australia. But that's good for the fight fans because I'm gonna make sure we invest in an attempt to win that battle. But I hope that the battle can be, say, friendly, but like in the past, once a battle becomes bitter, we don't do any business together. I don't think it has to be like that. So I I come in peace in general to Australia because I want to work with everybody. And we have a lot of great relationships in Australia. Mick Francis, Angelo and those guys we've worked with in the past. I'm talking to a lot of new guys at the moment, Sam LeBruner and Brendan Brook down in Melbourne. I really like the vision that those guys have. Steve Deller's one of my favourite characters up at the Fortitude. I love the passion that he has for his fighters. So I don't really, I come with good vibes and we'll see how that goes. But I hope there's a world where Matchroom and No Limit can be competitive with their stable to benefit our fighters with opportunities. More importantly, to give
Just cut out there for a sec. Um, Lewis Crocker, Liam
sorry,
Paro,
mate, I'm back. Yeah.
disappointed to lose that purse bid.
Yeah, I was disappointed. I mean, I changed my bid with about 10 minutes to go because someone told me that Matt Rose were going to, yeah, and No Limit were going to be wild on the bid. So I was like, I was going to bid about 900 grand. And then I thought, no, change it to 1.1, whatever. And they done us by like, what was it, 20 grand, 25 grand? And sometimes when the fight costs that much, it's less of a pill to swallow because it's a lot of money. And I'm looking at, listen, fair play to those boys because they've got to find that money. And it's a big lump that they paid. But, congratulations. It's a great opportunity for Liam. For us, it is what it is. We've got to come over there to win the fight. And sometimes when you go on the road, we had it with Dalton Smith recently against Tszyu-Errol, just gives you that little bit more impetus to go and do the job and to win that fight. Liam's a great fighter. I love those guys. And but unfortunately, we're coming for the smash and grab knockout on what looks like April. But it's a brilliant fight and another great fight for Australian boxing.
Mate, Jai Opetaia and he's signing with Zerafa. You've been pretty critical of Zerafa these past couple of days. Is this a bad move for Jai Opetaia?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think John needs to do, I think we tried to get him the unification fights, and it's very difficult because Jai is such a great fighter, and those guys didn't really want to fight him, but he's been treading water fighting for peanuts in Australia. He's got to make his money. And I think the Zuffa deal, I do think it's a great deal for him. I think he's going to lose his world championship belts over time because Zuffa have no interest. Like, Dana's kind of treading water on the subject when he does his interviews, but they want every governing body out of the sport. They want to do their own thing. They want to have full control. And, Jai will fight. I mean, the Brandon Glanton fight is very disappointing because Chris Billam-Smith beat him, every round. And it's another treading water fight for Jai, but at least he's getting paid well for the treading water fight. I just hope that he doesn't lose his world championship fights because you can get brainwashed into telling people now that actually, no, the world championship belts aren't important to me. Now I'm Zuffa cruiserweight champion. But the truth is, all Jai wants is the belts. He wants to be unified. He wants to be undisputed. And I think that opportunity is going to get taken away from him here. So, but at least he's making the money. And that's very important in boxing. And he's a great fighter and I wish him all the best.
Eddie, a big news item down here in Australia the past month or so, Nikita Tszyu, Michael Zerafa. Did you see that fight, the ending to that fight? What'd you think of that?
I feel like that is a rematch that would be huge in England if something like that happened, right? But I know you guys, it left a very bad taste in your mouth, about what happened. So for me, I saw it. It was quite confusing. I know Zarafa, I've had him on our shows before. Like, to be honest, when we've had him on, he's been extremely tough. Like when he fought Kell Brook, he took a pasting. He kept coming. So I guess you'll never really know the truth of the situation. Did he look for a way out or was he genuinely injured? I probably gear towards the latter from what I've seen on my shows, but I don't know. It was a very disappointing for you guys because I thought, the build up, the promotion, everything was brilliant. And it was a big night for Australian boxing. And if you would have had that war in there, it would have elevated you to another level. But, these things happen. And I don't know. I don't know if they'll look to run it back. But, Zerafa is, I guess, the new villain of Australian boxing. But a villain has a place. And a villain has value. And a villain creates noise and headlines. So I think Zarafa's still got a big future. Whether they run it back or not, I guess we'll see.
I think it's the fact that he said he didn't say that he never told the doctor he couldn't see. That's more pissed people off.
Yeah.
Would you promote a guy that did that? I mean, there's calls down here to never promote Michael Zerafa again. Would you put him on a show if he did that on one of your cards?
It's a good question. I mean, I think at the time you're fuming, right? You're like, I can't, but I've had it before. I did Josh Warrington against Maurizio Lara rematch. I mean, that was a genuine cut. We sold 24,000. And in the second round, they had a clash of heads and it was a no contest. And it was brutal to take, This is obviously different. There's a lot of controversy here. So I don't look at the incident. I look at the potential, right? If that makes sense. And I know that right now, Michael Zerafa is hated in the Australian boxing world and sporting world. Sorry, Michael, because I actually quite like the guy. But that's the truth and that's the reality. So when he fights again, good or bad, people are going to be having an opinion, right? So I don't rule out promoting Michael Zerafa in a fight as an opponent or whatever. I don't have the same feeling of I will never work with Michael Zerafa. I haven't really seen it in full. It's done. It's over. He would have had his reasons for that. There's a lot that goes on in the heat at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not the adrenaline's flying around. And, I've always found him to be, like I said, pretty genuine on our cards and a tough man on our cards as well. So sorry, yeah. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens in his career. I've not had any conversations with him to to work with him, but who knows? Who knows what the future holds?
Last one for you, Eddie. Tszyu-Errol Spence. Thoughts on that matchup?
Yeah, I actually think it's a good fight. I think Tim, for a while now, Tim has been a much avoided fighter because there was this kind of perception of him that he was this monster. But the reality is he's had a couple of defeats, and people look upon him now as a kind of opponent. And that's what Errol Spence's team are doing. But I think Tim's more than an opponent. I think he's a very good fighter, and I think he's got a lot about him. And I think it's a very dangerous fight for Errol Spence to come back to. 2 years out of the ring, obviously the car crash, the retina problems over the years. And yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. And I wish Tim all the best. Again, not on our team, but with our hopes to build Australian boxing, hopefully he can go over there and get a big win.
Nice one. Thank you, Eddie. Always appreciate your time, mate.
Cheers, mate. Good to talk to you. See you soon.